Hello and welcome to the Alignment with Jen podcast. I am your host, Jen Ditzazy, and today we're going to be talking all about how to have a magnetic aura and really how to use your aura and your energetic field to attract in the people, opportunities, and experiences that you desire. And I'm super excited to share this with you because we're going to look at it through a more spiritual lens as well as through a more energetic and physical lens as well as the psychology behind it. So I think you're going to absolutely love this, and I think that you will walk away with a lot of clarity on really how your energetic field works and how to attract in the things that you want. And I want to start off with a story about Marilyn Monroe, and you might have heard this story before. And it's a story where she's walking down the street and she's walking with one of her friends and nobody is noticing her, right? Nobody's seeing that she's this beautiful magnetic woman. She is just very, very ordinary. And then she turns to her friend and she says, "Do you want to see me become Marilyn Monroe?" And the friend is like, "Oh, yeah, okay," like not quite sure what she means. And then suddenly she shifts her energy and everyone starts to notice her. Everybody starts to be drawn toward her and people begin to come up to her and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's Marilyn Monroe," when a couple of minutes before they didn't even recognize her. And that is the power of your energy, and that is the power of your ability to command your own energy. And this is so helpful whether you are dating and you want to meet someone, whether you go to a networking event and you want to attract in the right people to you. I have a friend who is really incredibly good at this, and he tells me that he's like, anytime I go to an event, he's like, I'll go into the room and I'll set my intention of, I want to attract X, Y, and Z person, whether it's a certain type of person, whether it's a particular person. And he will just set that intention, and then he kind of just leans back into the energy of it. And every single time he attracts in whatever type of person it is that he's trying to call in. And you have that power as well. We all have that power to use our thoughts and our energy to attract things to us. And I know that you've already experienced this on some level, right? When you think about if you go into the grocery store and you are just, before that, you've been in your car and you're kind of vibing to music and you go in and you feel really, really good. Cashiers are friendlier. People want to talk to you, right? Babies are looking at you. It's because you're operating from a different energetic frequency. You're commanding your aura. You're commanding your energetic field. And that's what we want to do. And that's what I'm going to teach you to do in this episode. So I'm pretty excited about this. I think it's going to be super cool for you. The thing that I want you to understand as well about magnetism is it has nothing to do with looks. So we think that the most beautiful people are because they have a certain symmetry and they have a certain right? Yes, that does make someone beautiful, but there's so much more to magnetism than just physical beauty. Robert Greene talks a lot about seduction, and he has a whole book on it. And he said, he's like, typically the most seductive people are not the most attractive people, because seduction, attraction, magnetism is all about your energy and how you're showing up and the thoughts and the emotions that you are emitting. Another important thing to know about magnetism is it is not about being the loudest person in the room. You could literally be completely silent, completely leaned back in your chair and be drawing people to you, drawing opportunities to you by getting so much coherence in your energetic field. It is also not about chasing. So typically when we are in the mode of chasing, we're actually repelling, right? Think about a deer being chased by a hunter. That is, the chase is actually repelling the thing that is wanted. And so when we want to be magnetic, it's about drawing things to us versus going out and trying to make things happen. They're very, very different energies. Your aura, when I say aura, what I mean is your energetic field. And this can be very woo-woo, but it also is very scientific in that they can actually measure your aura. They can measure the energetic field around the body. And one of the biggest energetic fields around the body is the result of what is happening within your heart. So our heart has the strongest electromagnetic field around our body. And scientists have actually measured it up to 5 feet away from the body. Can you imagine that? Someone 5 feet away can unconsciously feel what emotions you are feeling, especially if that person is present, right? Not all up in their own business, but they're actually present. They can really feel what you're feeling. And when you begin to use that power by learning to tune into certain frequencies within your heart, you become significantly more magnetic. So I think that's super, super, super cool. Essentially, the way to kind of think about it is when your aura, your energy field is coherent. What I mean by coherent is it is creating a smooth frequency, right? Like think of really calm waves in the ocean. When it is creating a frequency like that, then it is going to be much more attractive to people. We unconsciously will feel it within our own energy fields, right? There's something called neural co-regulation that when we are around someone else, we are actually tuning into their nervous system. And the reason some people can feel very, very exhausting to be around is because their nervous system is all chaotic. And so when we're around them, we're like trying to regulate, and it takes a lot more energy to regulate around somebody who's super chaotic than somebody who is at peace. You know, those people who I always think of them as like jacuzzi people, like they feel like just being in a warm jacuzzi because they're so calm, they're so peaceful. I think of my friend Alicia. She's really, really calm, and I love being around her. And it's because her nervous system is very calm. There's those two different pieces within the nervous system. And one of the ways that you can start to create this more magnetic aura is simply before you enter a room, just placing your hands on your heart and focusing on your heart space and drawing the energy into your heart, calming your breathing. What you are doing is you are actually creating a calm field around your body, and people can feel that. People can feel that in the words you say, in your ability to be present, in your eye contact, and they can feel it even if they're not looking at you. Someone can have their back to you and they can feel that field. They may not be aware. Most people are not aware that we can feel at this level because most people haven't practiced feeling into it, but they can feel it on some unconscious level, and it can create this magnetism. So that's kind of the foundation of this magnetism, is the coherence of your field. So very coherent emotions are things like love, appreciation, gratitude, just feeling very present in your body. One of the ways that I recommend to get really present in your body is just focus on the sensations of your body, of how it actually feels to be in your body. So much of the time we're up here in the beta, right? We're like thinking and planning and organizing and problem solving, when we can actually drop our energy, and you can consciously imagine yourself dropping your energy into your heart space and feeling into that and feeling what that feels like, noticing your breath. Right? I call it following the journey of the breath, noticing how it feels to breathe in and calm down your nervous system. When you do that before the next event that you go to, say you're going to a dinner, say you're going to a party, whatever it might be, but get yourself into that really coherent state. And it doesn't necessarily have to be relaxed, right? If you're going to go out and you're going to go to a party that's loud and there's a lot going on, there's a possibility of you being in a coherent, relatively calm state while also being in a lot of joy and peace and happiness, right? The two can coexist. And I know you've probably felt that before. So it's not necessarily just this meditative state. It's a positive, high frequency emotion. And it's getting less in our head and more into feeling, into our field. And the thing that I think is incredibly cool about this is what research has shown is that we will unconsciously sync up and be drawn to very coherent signals. So this is oftentimes why certain people will rise through the ranks of leadership, because they are able to be calm under stress. Right? I think of an old boss that I used to have. I honestly wasn't even sure what he did most of the time, but he was always so calm, and he would just sit in his office and like sit back and think. And he would just think and think, but he was very, very, very calm and regulated. And when something would kind of go crazy at the company, he was always calm and regulated. Right? And he's always done very well in his career. And I think part of that is because when things were going crazy, everyone looked to him, right? And we see this when things start to go a little chaotic. We look to the person who is the most certain and the most regulated. And this is not just because they're certain and regulated. It's literally because we are energetically drawn to that person. They're holding a certain form of magnetism. So I personally am like, that's the coolest thing ever. I think it's so cool. that's kind of the first piece of this magnetism equation. And I really think that's actually the most important piece, but I want to give you some more pieces to the puzzle as well. The second piece is our reticular activating system, which is part of our mind. And it's really the part of our mind that takes in all of the information and then filters it down so we become aware of what we deem important. It'll essentially throw away, not really throw away, but it won't make you aware of anything that doesn't seem important. So if you are in a state of, I need attention, I want people to like me, I hope these people like me, what you are going to be filtering your reality by is, I hope these people like me. That's not a very powerful magnetic frequency, right? We can kind of feel it when we meet someone and we're like, oh God, I feel like that person like wants something from me, right? This is why some people get icked out by salespeople, is because some salespeople really feel like they want something from you. And we feel that and we don't like it. But if you go into a situation with these fears around, I hope people like me, I hope that they want to connect with me, oh my gosh, I hope that my date likes me, unconsciously they feel that. But what also happens is we unconsciously filter that interaction for looking for clues that they either like us or that they don't like us, rather than just being present, right? Rather than filtering that interaction of, I'm so happy to be here. I can't wait to see who I interact with. I'm excited to see what I can share with these people. I'm excited to see what I learn from these people that I'm meeting with, right? It's a very different frequency than trying to receive something. And our mind is actually filtering that situation in a very, very, very different way. So when you think about being magnetic, you've got to think about what are the beliefs that you're starting from that are determining whether or not people are attracted to you. Because I know that we've all seen incredibly, incredibly beautiful people, men or women. I actually can think of one specifically. I was at an event and this man was so attractive. He was beautiful. It was like nobody wanted to be around him because his aura was so closed. He was like not really making any conversation with people. He was very much in his head, right? It didn't matter how attractive he was. It mattered that whatever was going on in his belief system, right? And whatever he was filtering reality by, we all felt it. Notice, what do you believe about yourself when you go into these social situations, when you go into situations where you want to feel magnetic? The most powerful thing you can believe is just, I am magnetic. People want to know me. People want to be around me. People are attracted to me. People like having conversations with me, and I like having conversations with them. One of the most attractive things that we can do, the most magnetic, is actually just to be genuinely curious and interested in other people, right? When we have high warmth and we have high interest in other people and we're curious about them, then people are drawn to us naturally. We don't have to perform. We don't have to make them think anything, right? And we can feel that unconsciously, even if we don't realize it. So this is a really interesting one as well. So when we think about magnetism, a lot of it is happening on a very, very micro, very tiny time scale. So what science has shown is that micro expressions, they're expressions that we make that occur in 1/25th of a second. So it's literally like one tiny, tiny, tiny frame of what we're experiencing. People can have a flicker of an emotion. And that flicker of an emotion shows their underlying beliefs, their underlying thought processes. This is why you can meet someone and you can just be like, I don't know why, but I feel kind of uncomfortable about this person. Part of that's their energy, and part of that is we unconsciously pick up on these micro expressions that are happening in a tiny fraction of a second that we could never consciously see. Right? We're not going to consciously be like, oh my gosh, I picked up on this incongruence in that 1/25th of a second, but our subconscious mind is. Our subconscious mind notices every single thing, right? This 1/25th of a second is part of that 99% of what's going on that our mind is filtering. And so when we feel emotions of shame, anxiety, doubt, fear, people are picking up on those on a very, very micro level, even if they're not consciously realizing it. right? It just might unconsciously cause people to not be as drawn to us. So if we want to attract and we want to become more magnetic, again, it goes back to what I shared earlier of understanding those beliefs and rewiring them at that deeper level, right? That deeper unconscious level. That is what I work on within my larger programs. So if you want to begin to work on those deeper beliefs, so that way you feel confident, you feel magnetic, you feel like you can show up as that best version of yourself and ultimately attract a reality that matches that, then just send me the word podcast on Instagram at Alignment with Jen, and then I'll send you a little video about that program and you can see if it's a fit for you. Thinking about those micro expressions. And I think it's also helpful for you to just think about them in terms of the interactions that you have as well with other people. Because I think sometimes it's very easy for us to be like, oh, I don't know. I don't really trust her, but I don't have a good reason why. So maybe I'll just see if it works out, right? Or this guy makes me feel a little uncomfortable, but I don't want to be judgmental. So I will just kind of ignore it. But what we're ignoring is actually all of this subconscious information that we don't consciously know about, but we know about on a deeper level. There's a book. This book, honestly, I think it changed my life. It's called The Gift of Fear. And it is written by, I believe he's an FBI investigator. It's been honestly probably 2 decades. I read it when I was like 10. I read it a really long time ago and I never forgot it, but there's this story in it of this woman who she goes to her apartment building and she lives in New York. And so she has to buzz into the apartment and she gets there and there's this man standing outside and this man is just like kind of waiting there and he's like, oh, hi. And he starts talking to her and she's like, I immediately felt uncomfortable, right? Because she's unconsciously picking up on all these subtle cues, these subtle micro expressions, his energy. That's so easy to ignore, but she wanted to be polite. So she let him into the building because he was like, oh, I lost my key or whatever it was, whatever his excuse was. Then he gets in the elevator with her and he stands by the buttons and he's like, oh, what floor are you on? And she's like, oh, 5th floor. And he's like, oh, me too. She is feeling more uncomfortable and she's carrying 2 big bags of groceries and he keeps insisting on letting him carry one of those groceries. He's like, oh, don't worry about it. I'll get it. Let me take it to your door for you. And he keeps pushing her and she feels very uncomfortable, but she's ignoring it because she doesn't want to be rude. And then what happens is he ends up going into her apartment. He assaults her. She ends up being okay. She lives. But the gift of fear is that we are unconsciously picking up on all of these cues, negative cues, right? That are things that we don't want to be around other people for and want to protect ourselves from, but also positive cues that create this magnetism. So it goes in both directions. And you can use your ability to unconsciously communicate things to people to magnetize the things that you want, right? Through your energy, through your micro expressions. And those micro expressions are a result of our unconscious programming. They're a result of what do I believe about myself? What do I believe about other people on a deeper level? And so as you do this rewiring work, that's just an added benefit. The last piece I want to talk about in terms of magnetism is more of the spiritual perspective. So one of the spiritual traditions that I really love is Kabbalah. And something Kabbalah teaches is that essentially our soul is a vessel for the light of the Creator. And when we receive that light, the light is actually the things that we want to manifest, right? So it could be confidence, it could be happiness, it could be peace, it could be abundance. That's what the light is, right? The light of the Creator has everything that we want. And when we grow and we expand our vessel, we are able to hold more light. And we grow and we expand our vessel through the healing that we do, through the unconscious programming that we change. And that makes us more magnetic. So something that Kabbalah talks about is that the most magnetic people are the people who are whole and complete on their own. They're not the people who need and want something from someone else, right? They're not the ones that are chasing and trying to make things happen. They're the ones that can kind of sit back and draw things to them because they know that they are whole and complete on their own. That wholeness, that completeness comes from your connection to your Creator, to God, whatever you want to call it. But that connection is what allows you to feel the most whole. And when we are seeking outside of ourself, right? When we're seeking attention, when we're seeking approval, we are not reflecting wholeness. We're unconsciously communicating, I need this from you in order for me to be okay. And that's showing a lack on our own part. But when we cultivate that relationship with something greater than ourselves, we lean back and we know our needs are met. We know that we are attracting in what we need and we don't need to chase. And truthfully, I think that is the most magnetic piece, right? Yes, there's all the science that goes with it and it's so fun to think about it. And the thing that really makes our aura the most magnetic is when we know that we are whole and complete and we have this deep belief in ourselves that we are worthy regardless of whatever anyone else is reflecting back to us. That also enacts the law of attraction, right? When we believe we are whole, when we believe that we are complete, when we believe that we are attracting in everything that we need and that our needs will always be met, guess what the law of attraction is going to reflect back to us? It's going to bring other people into our lives who are whole. It's going to bring experiences that reflect back to us our wholeness. Like will always attract like. So I hope that you very much enjoyed this episode. I hope that you got some really interesting, good nuggets from it. And I think the easiest place for you to start is really just begin with that heart-centered breathing, right? The more that we can drop into our heart and just really feel into that energy field within our body, the more that we start to feel whole, the more that we start to feel complete, and the more that we begin to attract that and become magnetic on an unconscious, effortless level. And if you would like support with this is all of the kinds of things. This is like a little micro piece of what I do inside my larger programs. So if you want information on that, send me the word podcast on Instagram at Alignment with Jen, and I will send you a 5-minute video about that. All right, bye.